Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, episode 93 ahead of UFC 279. We got a good lineup for you. First up, we're going to be joined by Johnny Walker to preview his fight against Ion Cutelaba. This is a really fun fight opening up the pay-per-view. I think this one's going to end in a stoppage, and Johnny was saying this is one of his better camps he's had in a long time. He really reassessed a lot of things after that loss to Jamal Hill, and he thinks he's going to prove here as he's really confident heading into this fight. We're then going to be joined by Julian Erosa to preview his fight against Hakeem Dawodu. This is another very fun fight. Julian thinks this is fight of the night written all over it, and he knows this is a big step up. Hakeem's a guy that's all right outside that top 15. Julian thinks if he beats Hakeem and possibly even finishes him, he can get a top 15 guy next. So he knows this is obviously a big fight for him in his career. We're then going to be joined by Chris Barnett to preview his fight against Jake Collier. Barnett coming off that loss to Martin Boudet, but something Barnett told me in the interview, and the story's already up on BJ Penn about it, is his wife was in the hospital that entire training camp. He said there were some days he didn't even be able to train. There were some days he only got an hour or two. And then 30 hours before he's about to fight Boudet, he gets a phone call from the hospital saying he has to make a decision on his wife of what they're going to do, whether or not he had to make a decision on his wife, which is obviously he's away from his kids. It was a very emotional time. And he says when he was in that fight against Boudet, he was getting hit and he didn't even care. He didn't even think about the fight. All he was thinking about was his wife and his family. So he says that's really motivated him now that he's looking after his kids alone. He knows he needs both checks. So he's really motivated for this one and get the win over Jake Collier. We're then going to be joined by Darian Weeks to preview his fight against Johan Lanès. Weeks is supposed to fight Cedric Doumbia last week at UFC Paris. A French commission rule said that he wasn't allowed to fight Doumbia because of their fight, so he gets moved a week to fight Lanès in Vegas in front of fans, which he's really looking forward to. Coming off that loss to Ian Gary back in April, and before that loss to Brian Barberena in his debut on short notice. So Darian thinks he's fighting for his job. He has a lot of confidence he'll get the job done over Johan and really start proving that he is a legit guy in the UFC and in this weight class. And then we close things out talking to Chad Anheliger about his fight against Haley Elatang. He's Hakeem's teammate, so he says that's really cool that both of them are going to be on the same card. He says fight week's going to be really awesome, and he has a lot of confidence going into this one. He believes that he's super underrated. He thinks beating Healy and doing what he thinks he can do will really show everyone that he is a legit guy in the UFC and in the bantamweight division. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by UFC light heavyweight Johnny Walker, who's returned at UFC 279. Johnny, how's it going, man?
I'm going good. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Like, was this about the right time frame for you to return after your last fight?
Yeah, 100%. I take a lot of time off, thinking and training. I started my camp for this fight a long time ago, like more than 3 months. I was in Thailand sharpening my Muay Thai and being a long camp, bro. What the fuck? I've been working my ass off for this one. Work a lot of my defense, my box defense, a lot of wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA. I can't wait to fight.
What do you take away from your last fight, if at anything?
I wasn't really confident on my striking because I was trying to improve other things, And then my strong point, I left behind a little bit, but now I bring everything together and I'm training smarter, and take my time. Like you need time to figure out the pattern, and to improve a new martial art that you want to improve. And I take my time now, so I improve a lot of my box. I'm working with a really good boxing coach. His name is Beck Collins. His brother was world champion, and he have a lot of experience. And I'm really improving my boxing. Doing a lot of sparring. Like I'm sparring like 2-3 times a week. This is being really hard camping. Like you can see, my nose a little bit hurt and my lips. So I'm paying. I'm paying off right now. I'm make the training hard to make the fight easy.
You said at the beginning you went down to Thailand for a bit. Like, what was the reason to go down to there?
Yeah, I was doing a celebrity appearance for one of my sponsors. Then for like just a week. Then I stayed like for 3 or 4 more weeks to train the root of Muay Thai, pure Muay Thai. Like I like to train AKA. They have a really good Muay Thai coach over them. And I was kicking and elbows and knee every day. So sharpening, improving my takedowns with Muay Thai. And doing a little bit jiu-jitsu and MMA as well, but mostly improving my Muay Thai. And yeah, I want to bring that thing back, and like evolved.
Uh, you mentioned that you were working on a lot of different things before the Hill fight. Like, have you kind of toned that down a bit then ahead of this fight?
Say it again.
You said before the Hill fight, like you were working on a lot of different things to incorporate into that fight. Like, is that still the same in this one, or you kind of tone that down? You're working on less things here.
No, this one I'm specifically for this guy. No, I watch
Mhm.
all of his fights. I figure out his pattern. Me and my coach, we know what he's gonna do. So the only way that he can win this fight is if he change his game. Be a completely different fighter. But he can't do this in like his last fight was a couple months ago. He can't change his all style for fight against me,
Mhm.
to fight against me. So I know what he's gonna do. I know what his game is. So I'm been drilling just for this fight. If I fight any other fighters in the world in September 10, I have a big chance to lose. But I'm gonna fight Ian Cotelaba. So I have 100% I'm gonna win because I'm get ready for him, not for other fighters. Any other fighter can beat me because my reactions and all of my training is gonna be for this guy. Like, what's he gonna do? I'm ready for do. If I fight any other guy, they have a big chance to beat me up because I'm not ready for the fight. I'm ready for the next fight. I get ready and prepare for Young Kutelab style.
And when you were offered Kutalaba, like how familiar were you with him? Because you guys have actually fought a lot of similar guys.
Yeah, he fought Ryan Span, but I beat Ryan Span. Ryan Span submit him.
You guys have both beat Roundtree, and then you guys have both fought Serkinov, and you beat Serkinov, and he lost.
Yeah, I most beat the guys that he lost, so
Mhm.
I have a little advantage on it. But I'm get ready for him, as I'm saying. Like, I know how he breathe when he get tired, what's his best shot, what he do when he walk forward, what he do when he come backward, when he's attack, when he's defense. So I'm ready to fight Yanko Telaba. So I'm ready, bro. I'm doing everything that I can do to be 100% ready for this guy. And the only chance that he have against me is to surprise me really, really, like do something really different that but he can't. Like, fighters don't change their pattern like in a couple months. You need
Mhm.
years of training to change your pattern of fighting.
And then, how do you think you match up against Kutalaba?
I think it's really good. I'm really glad to have this matchup because um, he's easy to track. He's really danger. He has a lot of power. He's very strong, but he's easy to track. Like, as I say, you, I watch his fight every day before I sleep. I take a look a little bit. I don't need to see anymore, but I keep watching him to see what he's gonna do. I'm not worried what he's gonna do because I know already. I was what I'm gonna do, what game I'm gonna put on top of his game. And this matchup is really good for me because I'm taller than him and I have better strike and I can counter all of his game. Like, it's really good. My style is good against guys like him.
And then with this one, like other than going to Thailand, was the full camp in Ireland like usual?
Yeah, full camp in Ireland. I start in Thailand, then I think I'm in 3 months already. I'll finish the third month straight away in Ireland. Like, really good camping training here. I have good guys that help me, like Carl Moore and Will Fleury. Will Fleury just fought this weekend on
Mhm.
PFL. He won. And I have a good boxer, professional boxer that I'm sparring with them like twice a week as well. So I'm improve a lot of my defense and I'm ready for this one.
Do you like having that much time to prepare for a fight? Like you have a couple months for this one.
I don't like long camps, but I take this long because I really want to make sure that I improve, that I learn,
Mhm.
my defense, because I get caught like my last few fights on boxing, so I really have to feel confident on the box, defend myself better, chin down, hands up, and block the shots. And I'm working on the pocket. Of course, I'm not gonna be on the pocket like stand and exchange punch and block. But if it happen, I'll be able to block and and have this in reaction already set up on my brain, And I'm really glad this camp is being long because I really learn and improve my hands and my boxing. So hopefully next fight I'll have a lot of time like this as well because I want to keep improve. So you can improve in 2 months or couple weeks. You need time, to learn and to change your style a little bit to improve. To you start trust on the new technique. You need time. So I think this is time enough to do a really good because we fight against the best in the world, So you have to really, really be confident in the technique that you've been training.
And then you're fighting back in front of fans too. Like it's been a while for you that you've been in front of an arena. Like how exciting was that you get to be back in front of the fans?
Very, very excited. I fought the first event without
Hmm.
fans, was in review before the lockdown happened, and against Nikita Krylov was crazy. I don't really like, and since then I've been fighting without crowd. I don't really like. Like you're gonna see, I'm back. I feel the crowd energy, and I fight way different, like more exciting, And I like to put the show on. When you see nobody watching, you feel a little bit depressed inside the octagon. I'm there to be happy to do what I was born to do, and September 10th, I'll be back.
How do you kind of see it playing out then? Like how do you see yourself winning?
I I'm looking for the to win, of course, but I want to put a performance on. I want to make this fight make me look good on this fight. I want to really, really. Work my ass really hard every day. You have no idea. So much stress with diet, with load of training. Then I take days off or I rest. Then I go hard again. Like I'm being really, really committed. There's no other way. It's a life commitment on the career. You fight against the best in the world, and if you don't do the best that you can do on all of this area like rest and nutrition, train and recover, injury prevent, you can't fight in high performance. You can't beat these guys because they're doing the best, And I'm doing the best for very long. I have a lot of experience, and I'm gonna put a performance on that night.
If you go out there and finish Ion, like where do you think that puts you in the division? Because you're a guy that's always right near the top of it.
Yeah, I'm no rush. I'm no rush on my career, but whatever they put me next, I accept, But I really wish that I can fight in UFC Rio in January.
Hmm.
So whatever they put there, I don't really mind. But I want to keep active, next year. Hopefully, no injury, no surgery. For the last 3 years, I've been in 3 years, yeah, three surgeries. So I don't really like this idea. You take so long to recover, so much rehabilitation, and then until you get full confidence and full range of motion, fully back, take a really long time.
Hmm.
And now I'm doing a lot of injury prevention. I hope to next year I can fight like 4 times or three. Take my time, because now I'm 30 years old and I promised myself if I have until 35 to become champion. If at 35 I'm not near to become champion, I quit. I'm gonna do another thing in my life because it's a lot of time and I'm on my prime now and I'm gonna take the most of it.
A lot of people have been calling you out too. Like, do you really plan to call anyone out, or is it just whoever the UFC gives you at this point?
Maybe I call somebody out. I don't know yet. I'm gonna look on the ranks. I know how the rank is, but I'm gonna study a little bit, see
Mhm.
what's the best option for me, and maybe I call somebody out. Maybe not. Let's see.
And then the main event of your card is a pretty weird fight with Diaz and Shemaev. Like, who do you think wins that one?
Shimaev is really have a big chance to win. He's young. very big hype, behind him. He's good, but you never expect what Diaz is gonna do. Like he's really good fighter, really tough. And I think if Shimaev don't finish him on the first or the second round, I think Shimaev gonna lost
Mhm.
or decision, or we're gonna get submission on the last rounds.
Just last thing, like I haven't talked to you in a bit, and the light heavyweight division has changed a lot. Like obviously Yuri's the champ, like Ankalaev and Jamal Hill are up there. Like, what are your kind of thoughts on the top of the division?
It's good. It's very exciting. I wish I could see Ankalaev and Jamal.
Hmm.
Then after them, who's the winner can go to the champion. And maybe see um, the the champ against Glover Teixeira, because the rematch maybe, because the last fight was really tight. Would be a good fight back.
Yeah, because that first fight was pretty crazy, and then Ankalaev and Hill, like that would be a really good fight. Like, who do you think would win that one, or do you not really know?
I have no idea, bro. Both is really tough, good fighters. I
Mhm.
just think it's gonna be a good matchup, to put them to fight. And after this, the title shot for the win.
Yeah, and the division's really probably hasn't been this exciting in a couple years, so it's probably exciting for you to get back up there again.
Yeah, 100%. One win against Cutelaba is gonna put me in a good position. I'm gonna climb it up the eight, the nine, eight, and then seven, five, then three, then hopefully God bless me and I keep doing the good work. Three more fights put him in a position that for the title shot as well.
Uh,
Three good wins,
mhm.
three good finishes. Because UFC want this, finishes. Don't want a boring fight. Then I want to put the show on, put the performance. Then I can jump a little bit. But they're gonna take my time. I'm in a rush. I told you, next 5 years. I promised myself,
Mhm.
so I have 5 years to become champ.
Well, Johnny, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem, my friend. Thank you.
All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Julian Erosa, who's got a really fun fight again. Julian, how's it going, man?
It's doing fantastic, brother. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, after your win over Steven, when I talked to you about how you were saying, oh, you got 3 checks, and I was kind of expecting, or I guess you got the 4 checks, whatever was it. I was expecting
Wow.
you five. You're right, five, five. I was expecting you to talk to you again like 2 months again after that, the way you fight. Like, is this a lot later notice than what you thought you'd get?
After the Peterson fight, it was obviously a tougher fight. But I kind of, me and my wife had some stuff going on. We bought a house, or we had moved into a new house, and so, and we had some other things going on, and it was nice to, kind of just take a little bit of a break and just enjoy enjoy the fight, enjoy uh, being such a successful night. Obviously, I gotta, shout him out because he's, if it wasn't for him missing weight, I wouldn't have got, paid as much as I did. So that worked in my favor quite a bit. And so it was nice just to like, ever since I moved to Vegas 5 years ago, it's been like I've been, redlining the entire time. So it was finally a time where I could kind of chill and just enjoy myself and get some personal things taken care of. Like I said, we got into a house and some other things going on. So it was just nice to have a little bit of a break. I wanted to get back. I was looking for like June or July, and then it kind of just got pushed back further and further. And the all the featherweights were getting booked up, left and right. And then Jason had messaged me about a couple other fights, and they just didn't make sense to me. But this one popped up, and it was like 7 weeks in advance, and it's a perfect fight camp for me. Amount of time for me to get ready for. I mean, honestly, I don't care if I'm in shape. It's more about the weight than anything because I've taken fights on 10 days notice, 3 days notice. So it's not necessarily that. It was just getting my body back down to where I can make the weight comfortably. And so 7 weeks against Dawoodu, he's kind of hovering outside the top 15. So I think it's a good step up in competition, and it would be a good name for me to beat.
Yeah, with Hakeem Dawodu, like he's a guy I'm pretty sure he's been ranked before. Like he's probably
Yeah.
in that like 16 to 18 range right now. Like, how kind of excited were you when you got a name like this?
It's funny because I don't know if I said it to you after the Peterson fight, but I did some interviews and they were asking me about guys I would like to fight, and
I
I said
think I do remember you calling him out.
yeah, well, I said I wanted to, I've been trying to fight Caceres for a while because I think it's just to be a fun one. I was looking maybe for like Luis Saldana, maybe a couple other fighters as well, but I thought that maybe since me and Dawodu fought on the same card, when I fought Peterson, he fought Chisano. I thought, well, maybe he might be one of the guys that they, try to line me up with because we just fought on the same card together. So it's kind of funny how it kind of came full circle because I thought that might be a guy, and then kind of shuffled through a couple other opponents at different spots at different times, and then this one popped up, and I was like, it's kind of funny how that kind of came full circle.
Yeah, I just quickly searched it up. After our interview, I just searched up the article, and it was saying how you wanted Dawodu or Caceres after that fight next. With Hakeem, like, very good striker. Like, he's a guy that has been going the distance most of his career, but, like, he did have that really nice head kick over Hori. Like, how do you think you kind of match up against him?
Man, the thing about me is, like, and something you can't really teach guys, like I think Hakeem is very good. He's very technical and he's very talented. And obviously he probably hits like a truck. But, he's kind of lacked, cutting fights shorter because he just keeps going the distance. And it's crazy because a lot of people talk about how he's got power, but it's like he seems to go the distance quite a bit. So I'm hoping that that's the case because, obviously I've been knocked out a couple times by some heavy-handed guys, and with him, I think, just pace. It's gonna be pace, and it's gonna be elongating the fight. For me, the longer the fight goes, I think the better it is for me. Not necessarily for the judges or the scorecards, but I just come on stronger later on, and I'm able to kind of conserve my energy even in the crazy scrambles. I do a lot of cardio stuff too, so I try to keep my cardio as best I possibly can, which I try to make it better than obviously my opponent. So I want to when I step in the cage, I want to not have to worry about my gas tank. I want to be able to go 15 minutes, full clip. And so I think he prefers kind of a tit for tat kind of stand up fight. And so I just got to make it dirty. I got to shoot takedowns. I got to, throw unorthodox strikes like I kind of do anyway. So, but I think most importantly, I got to stay away from his power.
But you're just beating up all my fellow Canadians out there. You got Jourdain, and I get the other one.
Well, it's just how it goes. But I really appreciate all my opponents. Jourdain's doing big things too. I mean, after I fought him, he beat Venata, and he also beat I can't remember his name. Tall, lanky guy. He moved up to 45.
Andre Ewell he beat.
Yeah, Andre Ewell. And those were great performances for him. So it's really nice to see, like, guys that I've gotten wins over go out and do those things. And he had a really fun fight with Burgos. He lost that fight, but it was a fun one. And it was a close fight. So, and Burgos is one of the top guys out there too. So after you get a win over someone like Jourdain, like I did, to watch him go out and kind of string together these wins and these performances, makes me feel better about that win. And so, I got nothing but respect for Jourdain, and I hope he goes and becomes the champion because that just, that makes me respect that fight even more.
And then with this one too, like, I know whenever I talk to you, you always like fighting at the Apex in Vegas just because it's a short distance, but like, how much better is it that it's still in Vegas, but now you're just at the T-Mobile in front of fans?
Yeah, that was like the biggest issue with some of the fights that I said earlier that, Jason, my management had sent me and asked me to fill in for. Like, they wanted me to go fight Nathaniel Wood over in London, like a 5-week notice, which, that's totally cool. The 5 weeks, whatever. I mean, that's more than long enough for me, but it's just like traveling 14 hours on a plane does not sound fun, especially when you're cutting weight. Being a big guy, like, I kind of got to keep things perfect to make my weight, and I can do that, if I'm traveling a few hours here or there. But to travel overseas and the time difference and all that kind of thing, I fought Cage Warriors against Patty at featherweight, probably one of the worst weight cuts I've ever had. So it's one of those things where the opponent was great. I would have fought Nathaniel Wood. I mean, I would have loved it to be in the States, but it just that wasn't in the cards. And so I told my management, hey man, if we can just keep this in the States, that'd be great. I'll fight anybody, anywhere. Let's just, please, can we just like not travel more than like 5 or 6 hours. And he kept it in Las Vegas. It's at the T-Mobile Arena, and it's going to be I feel like it's a redemption fight for me. The last time I fought with a pay-per-view crowd, I lost against Ishihara in 2016 or whatever it was, and so it's kind of like a time for me to be able to possibly redeem myself in that sense. Go out there on a pay-per-view card at the T-Mobile Arena with a bunch of fans and just go out there and perform.
And kind of full circle, Nate Diaz is headlining the pay-per-view again against a guy everyone thinks is going to beat him up pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly. And that's funny because I specifically remember, I lost the fight, and that always sucks. But, I tried taking it in stride, but I was in the back, and we're watching the fights in the green room, and, they cater everything for you. So we're just eating and watching the fights on the screens. And, the whole, Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz fights going on. And then they had kicked out Nick Diaz, and he wasn't even supposed to be at the fights, or he wasn't even supposed to be at the arena. And after he choked out McGregor, Nick Diaz is screaming in the back, running by like the green room where all the fighters are, and is like, "I've told you, I fucking told you, Stockton, what?" Just doing his, his antics, and it was just like, it was such a funny. It was a funny but exciting moment because he chokes out McGregor, and it was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" And then you hear his brother come screaming down the hallway and kind of ranting and raving, and it just added to the excitement of the fight. So it's definitely full circle, and being able to go back in that arena and have another shot at performing in front of everybody is gonna be a fun one.
And then for you too, like, I don't think many people would probably realize this is your 6th fight in the UFC since returning, and this will finally be the first one in front of fans because they've all been since like COVID and the Apex. Like, is it gonna be weird for you walking out in front of fans after so long?
After fighting the Apex for a while, I got used to it, and I started to enjoy that. And for me, I've gotten more comfortable, kind of, settling into the UFC and taking those pressures on in the stress of fighting and at the highest level. And so when I was young and I lost to Ishihara, I mean, I was so green in the sport. I was coming off the Ultimate Fighter. I did really well, but that was like one of the first times I walked out and was just like, a little bit stunned by the amount of people that were there and being on that big stage, and was kind of tunnel vision. And I think that just had to do with a lack of that experience. And so, fighting at the Apex is almost like, the stepping stone to going back to like, the big arenas, because even though it's at the Apex, you still see the big names. You still see Dana White there. You still see, the matchmakers. You see all the important people. And I think at the big arenas, that kind of gets out of your head a bit more because there's so many fans, and you're not really focused on the people that are right there. And at the Apex, it's like there's nobody there. So like all you see is the important people. And so I feel like it's definitely helped me out mentally, kind of wrap my head around being able to fight with all the fans again. And I think it's just going to add to the experience as well.
Just a couple more things, like with Hakeem, like how do you kind of see playing out? Like Hakeem is very durable dude, like very tough to put away, and like same with you lately. And he's like, I think both of you guys are probably there for the whole 3 rounds.
Yeah, I've never really had much of a game plan in a lot of my fights. But as you get to these kind of spots, you really need to pick and choose what you want to do. I think people kind of get low. Like a good example is the Mike Trizano fight. Hakeem's last fight. I think Trizano kind of got lured into just kind of this kickboxing back and forth, and it's tough to do that against a guy that's so technically sound in kickboxing as Hakeem is. And so for me, I just have to make it dirty. I have to make it, I have to make it a high pace early on. I have to really mix things up. I think Hakeem does really well when it's just a tit for tat kind of thing. And so for me, I do really well when it's kind of a, just kind of a mess. I mean, a perfect example is the me and Peterson fight. It's like, and I think it was a great dance partner for that. Peterson's the same kind of way. And so if I can make it a fight like that where it's just dirty and I can avoid his power early on, and he starts to lose a little bit of that power later on in the fight, I think it'll be a bit longer of a night than he expects. And you never really know until you're in there. I can say that he has these decisions, and he might not have the power, but I get in there and he can touch me with one punch, and I can be like, holy shit, this guy hits like a truck. and vice versa. He might think he has the best cardio, and then after the first round, he might be like, holy shit, this guy's got cardio through the roof. So you never know until you're really in there, and you can prepare as much as you want, but you really just never know until you're in there. But that's my goal. My goal is to make it a high-paced fight. And I'm a bonus chaser, man. I don't necessarily care for the win. I get more money on bonuses than I would do on my win purse. So for me, if I can go out there and just make it, a crazy fight, I think it's advantageous for myself, but also for my paycheck, for my paycheck and my bank account. So let's hope to see, another crazy fight, and I hope he's a willing dance partner in that as well.
And I know you've renegotiated a couple times, like since coming back. Like, that's still something like after every fight or after every couple fights, you just try to get more money out of the UFC on your next deal?
Well, you know what? Honestly, it's been more just my management, and I got to shout out my management all the time because without them, I might not be here. I'd probably be out in some other show fighting. And so, Jason House and Iridium Sports Agency has always had my back. And that was actually really one of the biggest reasons why I took that Jourdain fight. I was a bit heavy, and I told my management, like, I actually turned the fight down originally. And then the next day, I was driving Uber. So I was, I was driving Uber for a few years while I was here in Vegas, and making ends meet and just trying to make money and make a living while I was fighting. And I was driving Uber, and I was all like, man, this is bullshit. Like, I should not turn down fights because I'm heavy, So I immediately texted him back, and I was like, yo, Jason, like, just, is there any possibility he's willing to do it 150? Like, if he's willing to do 150, let's take the fight. And didn't hear from them for a couple of weeks, and then got back to them. And I guess they had talked to like a bunch of other fighters, and everybody had turned the fight down. And but originally he had told me they were gonna up my contract. I was gonna get paid more, like substantially a bit more than I got paid for my last fight with Choi, and I was coming off a loss with Choi. So I was like, they're gonna pay me more money and give me a new contract. That was my big incentive. I was like, because even if I went out there and lost against Jourdain, it was a new contract with the UFC, and I was getting paid more. So it was kind of a win-win for me. And in taking it kind of short notice like I did, it was like there was kind of nothing to lose for me. And so it was basically just the weight, and I ended up making 150 pounds pretty easily. I could have maybe made 146, but it's just difficult when all you're focusing on is making weight, and you might not perform the same way if you're dying on the scale the day before. But that's like always been like the motivation. Like, if the UFC wants you to fight, a short notice fight, sometimes they want to incentivize you. And I think as fighters, the contracts are very important. And then, the pay scale is important too, but just, securing your job, if I would have said no to the Jourdain fight 100% and I was 2-1 on my 4-fight contract, yeah, I might get another fight, but what if I go and lose that fight and I was 2-2 on that 4-fight contract? And they're like, you know what? We gave Juice another shot. He did pretty good, but he's fizzling out. They might have cut me, and then I wouldn't have had the chance to have 2 more wins in the UFC and be able to kind of put myself in a position to fight a guy like Hakeem. So things, I don't necessarily believe in things happening for a reason, but opportunity and preparation kind of get you there. And so luckily for me, I've had the opportunity of having a great management, and they've had my back, and so I do got to thank them for that. And but yeah, I mean, shoot, if I can beat Hakeem or then I'd be 3-0 on this 4-fight contract, and that'd be really nice to move ahead and maybe have to renegotiate after that. And depending on the kind of outcome of this fight, that's why it's so important. Every fight is so important because these contracts can be renegotiated, and you can up your pay depending on your performance. So I think win, lose, or draw, if I go out there and I can be an exciting Juicy J fight again, they'll have no problem re-signing me.
And then where do you think a win over Hakeem puts you? Just because we talked about earlier, like, he's a guy right near the rankings. And I remember talking to you like the past couple fights where you always just said like you want to be like a Gaethje type where you're in it for the bonus, but all of a sudden, like, you beat Hakeem, it's no longer just talking about the bonuses. Like, you're talking about ranked guys you're fighting.
Yeah, I think it's if I beat Hakeem, that kind of puts me in that spot where, I could be talking about possibly fighting like a 10, 11, 12th ranked guy, or, someone hovering around that area. And, that could be, another win off of that, but I just never think about the things in that sense. I'm always just kind of thinking about one guy. The only thing I'm thinking about is, winning this fight and focusing on Hakeem and being able to put together another good performance. And so, those things will fall into place after my fight, win, lose, or draw. That's, then you go to go to the drawing board of what you want to do next. Whether you win or you lose, you got to figure out what's the next best step for you. And so, never been super focused on, fighting for a belt necessarily. I've just been focused on just performing in the UFC like I know I can. When you've been in and out of the UFC and had the ups and downs like I have, it gets frustrating because you can perform, and then not seeing it come to fruition can be frustrating. So, the last 5 fights, even though I was, 4-1 in my last 5 with the UFC, it's just been great to be able to perform. And so that's all I really focus on, just performing on September 10th against Hakeem and just, walking out of there proud of my performance.
Just a couple more things, or 2 more things. Like, your guy always want to be as active as possible. Like, are you hoping maybe one more in this year? You think it's probably it for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it all depends, but for me, the only reason I kind of like deliberately took a little bit of time off. I told my management, I'm like, hey, after the Peterson fight, I'm going to take a couple months and just, got a couple things I want to do. And he's like, yeah, no worries, man. Just, rest up. It was a tough fight, and, was able to make the amount of money in that fight that I would have made if I won 2.5 fights. So it was nice just to be able to chill back. But my mentality is like, man, I want to fight. I've in my whole career, I've got, like 50 fights, including my all my Ultimate Fighter stuff and my amateur fights. So 50 fights in the matter of 15 years, it's like averages out to like 3.5 months I fight. So like taking off 7 months or 7 or 8 months in between fights is kind of rare for me. But it's been nice to be able to kind of focus on certain things and even just like focus on skill building as well. But September, October, November, December, I mean, got plenty of time to get another one in regardless of, the outcome. Hopefully injury free. I can definitely get another one in.
And just last thing, like, obviously you and Patty have kind of like always had that thing ever since your fight. I know he's at lightweight now, but like, does that fight ever still bug you at all? Because like, I've watched that a couple of times. I thought you won it every time I watch it. I think if it's anywhere but England, you probably win it. Like, Is that one, like, does that ever bother you? Or like, is that one you want back and you just kind of forget about it because it's so long ago?
No, I think about that fight, but not necessarily in my performance. Just like, and I'm not upset with Patty. Patty's himself. He's going to be a little bit arrogant and egotistical sometimes, and that's who he is. And I get it. He's playing up that part, and it's all good, man. Go and make your money and do your thing. And he's been successful in the UFC. I'm more upset with the the whole the management, the promotion, the Cage Warrior situation. Like, I didn't even realize that the promoter of the show was also his manager, and that's kind of a big no-no in the States. But like over there, they have different rules and regulations and stuff. So that was a bit annoying because I mean, at the time I was pretty naive and had no idea what was kind of going on, and I found that out after the fight, and so that was a bit discouraging in that sense. But I get it, man. They want to build him up, they want to make him look good, and they want to, they want to make him the next Conor McGregor, and I get it. I would consider fighting him at 55. He's not going to make 45. Which is stupid because he actually said on interviews before that he was going to do the Conor McGregor thing and run through the featherweight and the lightweight division. And so I was like, oh, well, he's willing to go to featherweight. I'll take that fight and, have it on more of a neutral ground. And, but then in interviews, they asked him about the fight and have asked me about the fight. But later interviews, he said, well, I'm not going to featherweight. So, and Juice is a big featherweight. He could do good at 55 as well. So he can come up here if he wants to fight me. And so I think he's one of the exceptions for me. I always, my wife and people around me have told me like not to fight at 55. I mean, not necessarily not to fight at 55, but if I wanted those fights to make them come down to featherweight. But he's like the only exception. He's the one guy that I would accept the fight at 55, just because I want and that's when I want to run back to, and I can't imagine why he wouldn't want to run it back to. Like in his own mind, like I'm sure he gets a lot of flack from that fight. Probably gets a lot of hate mail. Probably like Juicy J beat your ass, this and that. So like I could see why he'd want to run it back just to like maybe try to prove himself. So like, and we're two totally different people now. He was a bit younger back then, and a lot less experienced. But I think it would be a fun fight, and we could definitely build it up. So who knows? Maybe in the future we'll see each other at 55. Or if he ever decides to get to featherweight, I'm always sitting here for him.
Well, Julian, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. No worries, brother.
All right, we're joined by UFC heavyweight Chris Barnett, who's back in action soon. Chris, how's it going, man?
Man, I'm good. Can't complain. Thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah, always enjoyed talking to you. Like, obviously, haven't fought since April. Like, that fight, like, how kind of frustrating was that fight for you? Just kind of how it played out, and then obviously the shots to the back of the head and all that.
It was, I wonder now these days. It's crazy you get 5 minutes for getting kicked in the groin, right? But you would think getting hit in the head, they would give you some kind of time. They just they kind of rushed in. At one point, I remember telling him, what was it? I forgot who the ref was. Was it Mergoliato? Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, I remember telling him, I was like, yo, just let him finish me off at this point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, he caught me. Give me a second. And he was like, nope, look at me. Are you good? I was like, yeah, hang on. And then the doctor came in there and they do the eye test. He went here, and then like did a circle, and I said, "Okay, hang on, man. Look, you're not finna do this to me. I saw what you did, But nah, man. Yeah, it was very frustrating. Went into that fight, lot of stuff going on. So we had a different game plan that he came out with, and that's the fight game right there. We went with something different, and he did something completely different, from what we were expecting. But yeah, man, frustrated, but in that moment with everything that was going on, it was kind of like you don't want to just say, okay, you accept that, but there was a lot going on, with before that fight, and then actually like during the fight and stuff too. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, it's not a loss, it's a learning lesson, as they say. Keep it positive.
Were you surprised it wasn't like a no contest or anything, that it went to like the scorecards, just because it was kind of an illegal move with the back? The shots to the head are illegal.
I mean, yeah. And then when you got him saying in his own interview, he thought the fight was going to be, whatever, because I mean, you don't do it 12-6 3 times. You know what I mean? Like that's what got me, is the fact that it was bomb, But yeah, but more or less though, he was up on the cards. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's one of those things that, regardless of the blow, even if it went to the cards, I think that he was definitely up. So you're upset about it. I could have got a DQ, but I wouldn't want that win like that anyways.
Was this about the right time frame for you to return then after that one?
Yeah, actually, like with the stuff that was going on prior to me coming back this, I don't want to say this fast or whatever, me coming back was better for me, because I needed to get out of my own head, like, and literally I can say MMA saved my life, type thing. With all the stuff that was going on, definitely. Like this one feels different too. Again, with the guy that I'm fighting. But to answer that, yeah. This was the right time. This is the right time to come back.
And then with Jake Collier, like, how familiar are you with him as an opponent?
I love me some Jake, man. Like this is the king of the dad bods battle. To be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? He's a great father. Dude, just a great guy overall, man. He keeps to himself. Like, honestly, in the multiverse, I think we might be the same person, in like cross universes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, dude, like Jake, he's not to say it like that, but Vellante gave me training partner vibes, you know what I mean? So I felt like I could go out there and, show a little more. Like I was saying, when I fought him, I like to outdo my training partners and whatnot. And then with Boudet, I was more revengeful, filled, like putting a Rothwell thing on him, With Collier, man, I feel like I've known this dude, like, I don't know how long, but yeah, no, I mean, he just a great person overall, just like his training ethic, like everything that I've seen and heard, but even before this fight, like he's just always been that guy, you know what I mean? So I watched him. We used a lot of his, I'll say, antics and tactics for Vellante. You know what I mean? We saw what he did with Vellante and whatnot. So yeah, man, like good tank. Does spin kicks too. I've seen him throw those spinning side kicks and whatnot. But yeah, man, like he's definitely what I'd like to say, one of those fighters that's going to bring the best out of me type thing. Because I mean, he throws a spin kick. All right, watch this. You know what I mean? Like, type thing. So again, that whole training partner vibe. You know what I mean? Like it's more not saying I'm gonna go there pitter pat. No, like we gonna bang, but it's, I don't know. There's no behind it. You know what I mean? It's just like, yo, let's go out there and put a show on for these people. And that's literally what he does. He doesn't try to, I don't know. He's got very few. I think he got his like first submission against Chase Sherman. Yeah. A while back. You know what I'm saying? So he's out there. Came up short. Couple split decisions. I mean, you asked me that Arlovski fight. I had Collier up. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But yeah, man. Like, just a great overall opponent. I feel definitely for me because of what he's gonna do. He's gonna go out, strike. We're gonna strike. We're gonna spin. We're gonna, you know what I mean? We're gonna do the whole dance.
And then how excited are you that you're in front of fans? Like you're on a pay-per-view card in front of fans again, because you're a guy that has to be in front of fans.
Yeah, like that. I told them that straight up. Like I was like, look, y'all, I am like Goku. I need to feel the energy. When I came out from Madison Square, as soon as that music hit and the crowd was like, wait, that's Harlem Shake. Oh, and they went nuts. You know what I'm saying? So that right there surged me on to, hey, we got to leave it all out there. Not to say that, that's never the notion or whatever, but walking out the Apex dancing and you hear, yeah, all right, woo. And it's like, because this last time they had a couple people in there, but it's nothing like having like 10,000, 5,000, people out there, hollering for you, whatever. But yeah, but it's going to be different this time. It's going to be even more people because we're on the pay-per-view side. Because you know how they normally have the whatever side in the beginning and people don't really show up soon. I got a lot of people getting mad at me because they're like, oh, you want to throw the spin kick before anybody shows up to the arena? I was like, my bad. You know what I mean? But this time around, we're on that pay-per-view side. You know what I'm saying? So that right there alone, magnifies it that much more.
And with this fight against Jake, like, do you imagine this is just going to be a striking fight, or do you think he's going to try to wrestle you at some point?
He took I just got out of training, so the sweat is not going to stop until like another 3 hours. He took Chase down, which threw me off. I thought him and Chase were going to have a big stand-up war, but Chase got some mean leg kicks, you know what I'm saying? So maybe, he ate a couple of those and, took him down or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm definitely expecting like a nice little stand. I've heard him in a couple of interviews, but then again, that could be a whole ploy, like, I'm gonna stand up and take him down, type thing. But he's that fighter though. He seems like he likes to get punched because it makes him keep going, type thing too,
And then how do you kind of see it playing out? Like we have seen Jake get knocked out at heavyweight again, but that is against Tom Aspinall. But like he has been super durable at heavyweight.
Yeah. What was it? Oh my God, I forgot the guy's name. Carlos or whatever. I think.
Felipe, yeah.
Yeah, like that was a war. Him and Arlovski out there headbutting each other. That was a war, you know what I'm saying? So that Tom Aspinall fight, I think that's just one of those things. Like Tom is different. Let's just call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have loved to seen him and Curtis actually fight, but unfortunately, with that leg thing. But like anybody that would have took that punch, I feel would have fell from Tom. So I'm not chalking that up as that was a, I won't call it a fluke or whatever, but that won't happen to Jake in that manner. You know what I mean? Again, he when his hands, I've never seen him really not when he's moving forward have his hands down. The way Tom mocked that knee caught him with the knee and then came bam, you could kind of see Tom setting up that straight. But I don't even think Tom knew he was going to drop him like that. And I think it was more or less not the drop, but I think it broke his nose immediately because the way he fell, he was still there. But, man, that's a different feeling. Like, I don't know if you see mine's crooked. I got kneed in mine during the fight. And I was just like, okay, hang on. Wait a minute. Sometimes you get flicked in your nose, you start tearing up. So imagine a grown man punching you in it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that right there I don't think is that's not his steez of getting knocked out, because he didn't have too many when he was at 185 or 205. You know what I'm saying? So.
And then with this one, like, how much pressure is on you? Just because I know most UFC contracts go 4 fights, like, you never know if the UFC losing 2 in a row. Like, is there a lot of pressure on you in this one?
I wouldn't say pressure-wise. They know. I don't want to be a. I don't want to say it like that, but I don't want to be one of those guys that, they just bring in for, okay, well, we got him here, let's get him out real quick. They know what I'm bringing behind it. You know what I mean? I don't want to say the outside game also plays a big part in this, you know what I mean? And there's a reason why I've got so many followers with, like, there's a reason why I have some more followers than some of these popular guys in the UFC, more followers than some of the champions in the UFC. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not they know it's the fight game. You know what I'm saying? So they know I can fight, but they know I know how to play that game also. You know what I'm saying? So no pressure really. I've had some conversations and whatnot. So the pressure, as far as the only pressure I can really feel is I don't know, underperforming for myself, really. Like, no matter what, like, even with that Boudet fight, when I got a chance to get away from him, I was throwing this, I was throwing that. Like, they know what I bring to the table. So pressure wise, not too much. Just because, well, one, this camp has been different. So yeah, definitely not feeling it in the aspect of the fight ways. Of course, anything can happen during the fight, but yeah, no real pressure on it.
And then what kind of surprised me is, like, you're a pretty big underdog in this one. Like, you're a bigger underdog than you were against Boudet. Like, does that surprise you?
No. If you watch my last fight, then no. But to me, that's I like that. I like it when you doubt me. You know what I mean? I like it when you put me, you put me in that frame there. So that's perfectly fine. You got to think he just went, what was it? 3 rounds with the former champ or whatever with Arlovsky, and Arlovsky's been chipping away. I don't know how he keeps doing it, but boy, oh boy, he keeps chipping away. So yeah, no, it makes sense, man. He's that last loss. If you watch both of our last losses, yeah, of course, you know what I'm saying. I'd pick Collier myself too if I was like, not that guy. Let me go, over here on this side, So that's actually more motivation type thing. You know what I mean? That lets me know I have to do that much more to, quote unquote, not win them over. But I don't think I've ever gone into a fight the favorite. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even with Boudet, they had me under for Boudet too. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't think I've ever gone into a fight as it just because of, whatever the notion is. But yeah, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the odds, the numbers, whatever. I hope I win somebody a bunch of money when they do bet on me. You know what I'm saying? Like in New York, same thing. I think they have Volante over me in New York too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's nothing new. Nothing new to me to be the underdog.
Just 2 more things. Like, you get past Jake, like, you think this is probably it for you this year? You're hoping maybe one more in?
We get past Jake. Yeah, I would love to squeeze another. What was September? Yeah, a December card. That'd be cool. Like, we gotta make it early. I got babies. I like to be around my kids during Christmas. But even like if we could squeeze in another one, I would definitely. Definitely love to come out clean, unharmed. You know what I'm saying? But I have a feeling me and Jake, we're gonna go to war. So I might need to chill for a couple of months, and jump back in. But we're still talking like January though. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind jumping back in January, February type thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. No. My thing is I stay the best me when I'm busy. You give me time to slack off. You know what I'm saying? So like that was one reason why we took this one not so fast, but we were like, yo, let's go ahead, because they were talking, with everything that happened. I don't know if you know, but like my wife had passed away. Like literally, they called me. What was it? They called me 30 hours before the Boudet fight, telling me I needed to make a decision. And I was like, huh? What do you mean? When I left, she was fine. And now all of a sudden, this is popping up. So with all that going on, man, it was that camp wasn't a camp because she went to the hospital February 8th and was in the hospital from February 8th until May 10th. May 10th. You know what I'm saying? So training wise, I would get like maybe a good 2 hours in a day, and then I was in the hospital the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things that a lot of fighters would have just went ahead, and I'm here to say Dana White called me and cussed me out. Like, he was like, dude, why would you? And I told him, I was like, trust me, I didn't want to, but I also understand, like I see people pull out. Yes, I hear what y'all say. Y'all think, you don't think I hear what y'all say? You know what I'm saying? So even with something of that magnitude, yeah, I should have maybe, whatever, not done it. Cause I know I wasn't getting the training, but I signed that contract. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't think people actually grasp is once we sign that contract, it's, I mean, it's life is going to happen. And that's just, it is what it is. I hate to say it like that, but that's the way a lot of outside people look at it is like, okay, you signed the contract. This is what you have. I don't care what happened. Unless you get hurt, I don't care what happened. Technically, that's what that contract says. That contract says, I don't care what's going on as long as you don't get hurt and you can make it to the fight. If you're going to sign this is what you're saying, So I try to stick to my word with it, and went through. I remember, and that's another thing too. Dana, you'll never, ever. Dana's always invited to the barbecue, baby, because he called me. Like, he didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he called me and was like, dude, why would you, are you all right? Let me know if you need anything type thing. And I'm not, he knows I'm not the type of person to ask for anything, but he still did stuff on the outside. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the time when these fighters are talking about pay and all this other stuff, I just don't understand because they take care of us. Like, well, mm-hmm. I guess, they take care of me. I'll say that much. You know what I mean? Like, win, lose, or draw, he didn't have to make that phone call. And he did, like, I mean, he went through a couple of channels to find me and made sure he got a hold of me, So that right there, man, like that adds so much more to it because it's like, damn, why he cares? Oh my God, like, you know what I mean? So it's wild to me to hear, some of the stuff that gets brought up, money, this, and that. I grew up. My mom's a teacher. Mm-hmm. So when these guys are talking about money and all this, I've seen the ways to make money stretch. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. We're out here risking our lives. We're doing this. We're doing all that jazz. But we signed up for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like you can go and be a teacher. You can go and be whatever. You know what this comes with. So it's like, yeah, we're not making boxing money. Yeah, we're not whatever. Then go box. You know what I'm saying? Like, go box. I'm sure Jake Paul's looking for another opponent right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things that like you start to appreciate a lot more. And then I can't really say anything to these guys because that's how they feel. But it's like I'll tell you right now, you'll never ever catch me saying a mean thing. I don't care if Dana hates me for some reason later on down the road. I was like, you know what? That's all right, Unc. You okay? Hey, man, we still good. Hey, make sure you bring the plates to the barbecue, cuz. That's what I'll tell him, you know what I'm
saying? Just kind of building off that, like, obviously your wife passed away, like that's obviously a major thing in your life. Like, has that kind of motivated you through this camp to kind of get back in the win column?
Yeah, with my babies, man. Like, mm-hmm. the kids, that's been the main drive of everything. Like, not to say it wasn't before, but it's different. Like, now, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have that. We'll go talk to you. Yeah, get out of here. Go do this. You know what I mean? It's like as long as they're good, I'm good. And during those first phases of it, man, it was tough. It was tough. Like, son going to school, I got to go pick him up because he's crying, you know what I mean? Type thing. So again, you can't train. Like, you can't train the way you need to when stuff is like, going on like that. But yeah, man, it was tough. And there's a different drive. There's a different motivation. Like, there was a point when Bude was kneeing me and I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just like, man, I hope they figure something out. Like I'm getting kneed on the cage, and I'm like, oh, shit. I hope she's oh man, if they and Scott, like my coach, is like, hey, come on now, we in this thing, So it played such a major part in that fight that. You don't want to be cliche. Oh, I beat him if it wasn't for that. Nah, I'm not making any excuse. I personally feel I didn't shimmy and do enough to get off that cage, just because there were times where there was just a lull. Like I was there, but I wasn't there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So even instinctively, I still feel like I still should beat him. But whatever. But yeah, man. Like this camp has been great. Like the love and support from everybody. That's one thing that I'm getting through, like it, day by day. Or was the saying, you always want to be 1% better every day, and that right there, like, it makes you realize that life is short for real. Like it. You dial back and you think about all the stupid stuff that you complain about and all this other, and no. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, there's a different drive. There's a different motivation for this one,
And just final thing to end it on a bit of a lighter note, like your walkout at MSG caught a lot of people by surprise. Like Rogan and Cormier were hilarious on the mic. Like, is there a lot of pressure to equally match that or outdo that one now that people are expecting your walkout to be like that?
Man, like, that's just me. Like, I can't help it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, To many people, it's showboating, showing off, or you're doing too much, you're running out of cardio. No, I like to dance. I hear music, I'm moving. Like you're not gonna. I don't care what it is. I was line dancing the other night. Like I was out there, toe, do-si-do. Like you play a beat, I am moving. I don't care if it's a pencil on the table. I'm going. So. The entrance wise, yeah, I'll tell you, the only trouble I'm having is getting the song. Like, I want it to be a song that people know in the crowd. And then there's like, oh, you know what I mean? But other than that, there's never any pressure on the walkout, because I know you see how some of those guys walk out, just. And you're like, oh, is he all right? But then you got guys like Izzy coming out with the urn and stuff like that. You what is it? Why can't I think of it? Triangle. Oh my God, Brian Ortega. Him coming out with the mask and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So again, we're in the sport of entertainment. We just happen to be in the aspect of it of punching each other in the face, but we have to entertain. Like once they turn once we sign that contract, once they turn that switch on, that's when the entertainment starts. You know what I'm saying? So I know some people were like, well, maybe you need to focus more on the fight. That's part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like if I feel good, I fight good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when walking out at that Apex and I was, and there was no back. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, hang on. All right, it's Barnett. Wow. And in comparison to when we were in New York, wow, oh my God. It's like, I feel that made me, I was like, oh God, these people, I got to do something great for these people in there, So yeah, man, like never any, never any pressure on the walkout. They just it helps me that much more, man, that much more, you know what I mean? Just to have that energy again, like on some Goku getting that spirit bomb built up. I need that energy. Feed me your energy, whether it's negative or positive. I'll deal with some booze to win you over. I promise you, I'm gonna win you over, though. I promise you.
Well, Chris, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Darian Weeks, who's fighting at UFC 279. Darian, how's it going, man?
Going good, brother. How you been?
I'm doing well. Like, you're obviously supposed to fight in Paris against Cedric Doumbé, and like a highly touted kickboxer. I actually heard that like the fight was off, and I texted Ed, and he's like, "Well, I never heard about this rule." Like, when did you kind of find out about that commission rule and how like you aren't allowed to fight him because he doesn't have such an amount of fights?
It was some talk going around when we first got the fight started. It was just some Twitter talk. They were saying how they don't think the French boxing commission is going to let him fight because he doesn't have enough fights, which I think that's crazy because, he has 80 some odd kickboxing matches, which is a professional sport, you know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, I kind of felt some talk, but I didn't think it would get canceled because I figured, if this was a real thing, the UFC wouldn't have booked it in the first place. But with the UFC having their first show over there ever, I guess, they were kind of still getting used to the rules. So then it ended up fight getting thrown out. So it's pretty crazy.
And then how did this fight kind of come together? Because obviously you're just shifting back 1 week and then now fighting Johan Linnes.
I think Johan's opponent dropped out at right around the same time mine did. And then with me not being able to fight a European on the French card, I didn't think they wanted it on the French card anymore. So they just put two guys together who didn't have opponents who were looking to fight, and voila.
Are you glad you're now on this card just in Vegas, or were you kind of wishing you'd be part of that kind of first UFC card in Paris?
It would have been nice to be, on the first UFC card in Paris. But at that same time, I'm still on a great card. Nate Diaz's last fight is just as a memorable moment as the first time, fighting in Paris. So not upset, still on a pretty great card. And then we get to fight at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So that'll be pretty nice.
When you were booked against Cedric, like, were you just like, what's it, the UFC give me all these like top prospects? Like, obviously your first fight against Barbarito's on short notice, and they give you Gary, and then they give you Dumba, who's like, both those two guys are like considered two of the top prospects in this division.
Yeah, I didn't mind it really. Obviously they see something in me that can compete with those guys. I see something in myself that can beat both of those guys. As we've seen in the Ian Gary fight, I wasn't really hurt much, and I was walking them down a lot. So I don't mind it. They see a fierce competitor in me, and they feel like the matchups will be great, and so I'm here to fight. So I take whoever they give me.
What do you take away from those two UFC fights heading into this one then?
I take away from, just getting comfortable in there, especially with the Barbarena fight, how it was on 4 days notice. That was the first time I got my feet wet. Second time, being in an arena over 30,000 people in there with Ian Gary and, getting able to fight the hype on that one. It just made me more and more comfortable the greater the competition. So I feel like, for this one, I feel, at ease. We've been there before. This is our third time. We know how the weight cut goes. We know how the crowd's going to feel. We know all the face-off and all that. So I'm pretty pumped up, and I feel pretty prepared.
And with Johan, like, how familiar were you with him when you got this fight contract?
Not familiar with him all really. I didn't watch his Contender Series or anything, but I went back and watched it, and he had a good Contender Series debut. He had an RA showing against Gabe Green for his first UFC fight. So, I mean, I think it's both of us kind of in here searching for a win, searching for our first UFC victory. So that usually makes for a great fight. Both components coming out and wanting to put on a show, and, things get gruesome at that point.
And with Johan's fight against Gabe, like, he obviously had a really good first round, and then he like slowed down, and Gabe was able to get him in the second round. Is that something you think where you can have a lot of success if you can like kind of get this fight into that second and third round?
I think any fighter who's fought and then lost will always try to go back and fix what they were missing out on, or maybe his cardio was bad or what. But I'm pretty sure that I make sure he made sure that he prepared for a fight like that again. So I feel like I'm going to get the best of Johan. So I'm definitely going for a finish. We're not going to force anything. I definitely feel like, I'm a well-rounded fighter and better in a lot of positions than he is. So we will go for the finish. But even if that comes late in the third, we'll take it where we can get it.
And he is like a taller welterweight. Like he has like I think it was a 3 or 4 inch reach advantage over you, but similar like style build to Ian Gary, how like he's kind of tall and rangy. Like how much do you think that fight will help you in this one, where you now have 15 minutes of knowing how to fight a guy like that?
Yeah. If he does copy the same style as Ian Gary, I feel like I'll know how to answer that a lot. You know, me and my corners went over that and kind of deciphered and kind of broke down what we were supposed to do in those situations. But also, unlike Ian Gary, I feel like he's a come forward fighter. I feel like he wants to, wrestle. He wants to be in the action. So that'll also open up a lot of our game. That's our game, is to fight fighters who come forward. So I feel like that's mostly what he'll do. He'll probably be like a Barberena, but with the size of, not quite the size, but kind of the size of Ian Gary. So with that being said, I feel like it'll open up a lot of openings where I can use my wrestling, I can use my striking, and I can tire him down and hopefully get him out of there.
Both you guys are very good strikers. Like, do you imagine it's just going to be a kickboxing fight, or do you think it's going to hit the ground at some point?
I definitely think it'll hit the ground, whether that be him forcing a shot because I drawed him to there, or whether that is where I'm touching him up enough to where I can have openings to shoot. So I feel like it'll go for the ground. I'm looking to use a lot of all of my tools in this fight. So I feel like it won't be just a back and forth kickboxing match.
How do you kind of see playing it? Like you said earlier, you're going for the finish, but like, how do you kind of see yourself winning this one?
Just with a lot of pressure, a lot of determination, staying focused, making sure you don't make mistakes. Watch this guy, and he got a lot of his wins off of the other guys making mistakes, you know what I mean? And then, the momentum kind of shifted. As long as we're able to keep that momentum in the middle or on our side, I feel like we can't lose this one.
How much pressure, if at all, is on you just because you've lost 2 in a row in the UFC? Like, you never know with the UFC if you lose 3 in a row. Like, is there a lot of pressure on you going in this one?
I don't really feel pressure. I feel more like more, determined, I guess. More of, hey, we had our 2 fights, you know what I mean? We got to see what it looked like there. We got to see what was what, and now we go in there and we show them why the UFC picked us up.
You get your hand raised. Like, what are those kind of emotions like getting that first UFC win? Because obviously it's a big accomplishment to get to the UFC, and then it's a bigger to get that first UFC win.
I feel like, it'll be a lot of kind of excitement, a lot of like, oh, finally, fulfillment. But also kind of, like, all right, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we came here to do. This is what then this is, and this is where we belong. So it'll be hopefully it'll feel, just like all my other ones did, how it's supposed to feel, like, hey, we're supposed to be here and we're ready.
And then back in front of fans too. Like, how exciting is that you're in Vegas in a pay-per-view? Because not many people, like, there's been people signed to the UFC for like 2-3 years haven't been able to fight in front of fans, and you're 2 for 3 on that.
Yeah, and that's pretty incredible, and I'm pretty excited about that. It's always a joy fighting in front of fans. The electricity that fans give off watching a fight kind of pushes you to a higher level, kind of forces you to do things that you normally wouldn't be comfortable with. So I love that. I love being able to have this time to get and fight in front of fans, especially in one of the best arenas in the country, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Where do you think a win puts you in this division? Like, especially if you go out there and finish him. Like, obviously, just your first win. Where do you think that kind of puts you?
I think that puts me, I don't count myself out anyway, but I feel like that puts me as a noticeable prospect. I had 2 losses, but the 2 losses weren't me getting beat up. 4 days notice. Went to a war with Brian Barberena, who after then beat Matt Brown, and then after that knocked out Robbie Lawler. So, and then me going with Ian Gary, who's put more damage in most of his opponents than he did on me at all. So I feel like, I'm always considered a prospect, but I feel like this puts me up in the recognition and makes people notice, like, okay, yeah, this guy's here to stay.
And just last thing, like, what is kind of the goal then for the rest of the year? Like, you hoping you get one more in, or you think this is probably it for you?
I would like to get one more in. I don't mind fighting on maybe December. You know, a December card would be cool to, you know, kind of leave the year off with another W. But I'm kind of, you know, at the whim of the UFC. So I mean, whatever they feel like is comfortable, and also however this fight pans out, you know, God, you know, willing, I don't get any injuries, or, you know, it's not too gruesome of a fight. I feel like, you know, hey, I can turn it right back around and fight in December, or hit short notice and maybe get a November card. I'm down for either one of those.
Well, Darian, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, not a problem. I appreciate.
See bantamweight Chad Anheliger, who's back in action. Chad, how's it going, man?
Life is good, man. Can't complain.
Obviously, getting to fight in front of fans. Like, when you found out you'd be on this pay-per-view, like, how kind of excited were you that you finally get to experience that UFC fan experience?
Yeah, it feels different, man. Like, I'm really excited. I can feel some of that tingly nerves, you know, when I'm picturing my fight, when I'm picturing my walkout, you know, I kind of visualize like that. And I'm visualizing it with, you know, 20,000 fans in there, and it's a little bit different. I'm super excited for it. It's going to be awesome.
I was trying to think. You were on the card first, and then Hakeem got added, right? Or was it the other way around?
Yeah, no, I was on there first, and then Hakeem got added. I know he was expecting to fight around that time, so he was hoping it was going to work out. So we kind of had an idea, and we were hopeful that it would work out. Our last fights were actually only 2 weeks apart. They were really close, but this is going to be really cool. It's a special little feather in the cap for our gym and our coach, Brian Bird at Champions Creed, because it's just cool to have two fighters on the same card. It's like the first step in many steps of becoming one of those big, well-known gyms, you know?
Yeah, how exciting is that for you? Because obviously Hakeem's a guy you've worked with for years, and then, like you said, like, your gym's not one of these big gyms that has like 40, 50 guys in the UFC. Like, it's pretty small, and then to see have you guys both in the UFC is a big accomplishment. And then be fighting on the same card obviously is like a big one. And then I guess too, like, you guys are all peaking for the same date. So how beneficial is that, where you guys can train for that exact same date?
Yeah, it's awesome. And Hakeem is such a you know, a leader in our gym. I mean, we've both fought professionally for a long time. We both have lots of fights, but you know, Hakeem's been doing it at the highest level for a long time. So I still look up to him and how he prepares and how he handles training camps and fights. So he's always helped me a ton through training camps. It's going to be an extra benefit to have him around fight week at the hotel. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more set for success.
And your opponent in Heli Alatag, like, how familiar are you with him?
Yeah, I mean, I looked him up. I mean, it's not somebody I really knew much about beforehand or had my eye on or anything. But when we got the offer, it really jumped off the page because he's an exciting fighter. You know, he brings a lot of power, a lot of athleticism, which pretty much all these guys do in the UFC. So it's nothing I haven't dealt with before. But I think the matchup, you know, if the fight goes my way, it's going to be very fan friendly, and I'll be getting my hand raised.
And with this one, like, do you kind of just think this is going to be like a striking fight, or do you think it's going to hit the ground at some point?
He's going to end up shooting for sure.
Yeah.
Even if he plans on striking, he'll end up shooting because, you know, I catch a lot of guys off guard with my power that nobody really expects it. They get hit a few times and their game plan changes. So we'll see. I know he plans on wrestling, but I'm not going to make that easy on him at all. And I'm going to make him fight my fight. I can beat him everywhere. I'm really confident right now. And I think he's going to run out of options.
And I know, like, you used to fight at flyweight, but he's like not the biggest bandweight either. Like, I think he only has like a 1 or 2 inch reach advantage. Like, do you think that doesn't play much of a role because you're used to kind of fighting guys that are a lot bigger than he is even?
Yeah, I've had, I mean, geez, I don't know how many fights I've had. 17 fights or something like that. This is my 18th or something. And I've never been taller, and I've never had more reach. So that's even when I fought down at flyweight, the guy was bigger than me. So it's all good though. That people have talked to me about that my whole career. Like, why don't you move down in weight? Why don't you do this and that? It's like it feeds into my style. I tire these guys out, and then I take them out. And the bigger they are, the more I can tire them out. So the size thing, it literally fits my fighting style, and that's why I'm doing so well at it. So. Yeah, this will be nice to not have to, you know, reach as far with some of my punches. Maybe I can land a little bit earlier, a little bit harder. But yeah, the size thing is just such a irrelevant thing for me. I don't really care how big they are.
And with this one too, like with Hakeem, like, he's obviously a lot bigger, and his striking is like some of the best in the featherweight division. So does that just give you confidence where, like, if you can kind of hang with him, like, that probably gives you confidence you can hang with Healy striking?
Oh, for sure. It's been doing that. That's been a big part of my career in the last, you know, 8-7 years is that if I'm in there with Akeem, nobody's going to show me what Akeem's showing me. That's for sure. So it gives me a ton of confidence when I go in to fight these guys. And that's just another thing. There's no way the guy's as strong as Akeem. There's no way the guy's as fast as Akeem. There's no way his striking, his grappling is on the same level as Akeem. So that's, like I said, he's such a leader in our gym, and it gives me a lot of confidence.
How do you kind of see it playing out? Like, obviously, both you guys have a ton of power. Both you guys have proven you could go 3 hard rounds. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
I do see this fight potentially going the distance because he's tough. He's resilient. He's got good cardio. He's really there to fight, and everybody knows I'm there to fight. I'm never going to quit, and I want to go hard. I want to push the pace. I really hope this is what I envision it being, as a big drawn-out war, scrambling all over the cage, dropping each other, bleeding on each other. I really want this fight to be wild. I hope Healy can bring me that.
And then say you get your hand raised. Like, are you hoping one more in this year? Because you are coming off like a bit of a longer layoff than what I thought you'd have.
Yeah, I was a little banged up after the last fight. Like, I went in banged up. I had a meniscus problem in my knee first week of training camp, but I didn't want to be a guy that pulls out of fights, especially his first UFC fight. So I kind of toughed that one out, and then I had to spend a little bit of time dealing with it. But I'm 100% healthy now. I'm feeling great. So I want to smoke this guy, and then I want to get right back in there. I feel like I got a decent amount of momentum right now, but if I add a big win right now, I'm going to have a lot of momentum, and I plan on capitalizing on it.
The full card order isn't out yet, but I imagine you'll probably be before Hakeem's. I think Hakeem will probably be on the pay-per-view. So, is there any pressure to go out there and get the win and kind of set the stage for his fight?
I mean, a little bit. Obviously, we got our own paths, our own things to deal with, but it's more, it's not necessary to mess with him or anything in his headspace, but we just want to get 2 wins for the team, for Champions Creed, man. The gym has earned it. Our head coach, Brian, has earned it. He's really poured himself into us fighters and building this fight team. And now we got an opportunity to have a big night for the team. And that's really what I want to do.
What do you think a win, if you and Hakeem get your hand raised, what do you think that kind of does? Obviously, it's a lot for your gym, but even just more for Canada, because I'm near Toronto. We haven't had a whole lot of top guys in the UFC lately. It seemed like it was going to be Canada's going to be the next big thing when GSP and Roy were coming up. And then kind of since then, there hasn't been any of these legit title contender guys. If you two go out there and get big wins, both you guys be near the rankings. What do you think that kind of does for even Canadian MMA as a whole?
I think it's going to be huge, and I already have noticed, myself. Obviously, Akeem's been doing it for a bit longer, but I get a lot of the younger guys reaching out to you on social media, and they're excited to watch your fights. And my story, especially how I had a rough record to start, and then I turned it around. It's a lot of inspiration for some of the local guys. And I've known it. A lot of people have known it for a long time that Canada has a ton of tough fighters right now, and they're all fighting each other. And that's why we maybe don't get all the recognition and get as many UFC shots or Bellator or PFL. There's not as many guys going there. But when we get there, we always do well. And that's because, we're fighting tougher guys. We just don't have the population of the U.S. or going further and Brazil and Russia, where they're just got fights all the time. You can fight guys that aren't that good, and you can build up a 10-0 record pretty quickly. In Canada, that's just not even an option, because anybody you're fighting is a legit fighter.
Just a couple more things. What do you think that walkout's going to be like for you? Your first one kind of experience in front of this sold out arena?
Yeah, it's going to be lots of energy, man. It's going to feel so good, and it really feeds into my fighting style. I like to fight for the fans. I like an exciting fight. It gives me energy. It makes me want to do more, push harder. So I think it's only going to accent what I already do.
And where do you think a win over Healy puts you? His only loss to the UFC against Casey Kenny, who's been a guy that's been in the rankings before. He's beaten a lot of tough guys. He's kind of right near that, probably 20-25 range.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big test. I know I can beat him, but in my mind, it really comes down to how exciting I can fight and how well I can fight against him. So I don't want to just squeak one out through decision. I don't want to be losing the fight and come back. I want to just outclass him. I want to be able to really show the level I'm at. And I think if I do that, I got to be looking at a good big name next. So the UFC has really been good to me so far. They gave me, my Contender Series opportunity. They gave me a contract, even though I only had a split decision win. They gave me another fight in the Apex. I won that. Now they're giving me a pay-per-view card. So I feel like it's been a good back and forth. I'm holding up my end of the bargain. winning these fights. They're holding up their end of the bargain, giving me good opportunities. So hopefully we can do that one more time and see what they got next.
Are you hoping maybe one more in this year? You think this?
Yeah, ideally it would be a quick turnaround. I don't like to do that too often. I think it's important to reflect and to heal from fights, but I do want to get another one turned around this year, like December, January, something like that would be real nice.
I know you guys fought a flyweight before. Like, have you talked to the UFC about dropping down at some point? Or you'd kind of just focus on bantamweight for now?
No, I like bantamweight. I fight so much better there. There's pros and cons to cutting down and to staying up a weight class. I've been slowly adding a little bit of weight over the last couple of years because 135 has been my focus. And I've kind of decided that a few years ago that I wanted to stick to 135. I feel like there's more exciting fights. I feel like there's more people to fight. When I look at my career as a whole, it makes more sense to fight at 135. And at this point in my career, it's about putting on great fights, and it's about being able to say yes to fights. If I'm cutting down to 125, it takes more time. I'm more susceptible to injuries through training camps, and it's just the reward isn't there as much as 135. Plus, like I said too, my style is good to be smaller. I use a lot of speed, a lot of footwork, and a lot of cardio to beat these bigger guys. And I've got a good formula that works, so I'm not changing it. And
you're hitting pretty hard at bantamweight too. It's not like you're giving up power or anything.
Yeah, man, I got tons of confidence. I got tons of confidence at 35. So, yeah, I don't want to lose it.
Just last thing, I know you're a big hockey fan. Being in Calgary, what do you think of the big, obviously Tkachuk trade? That was the talk of the town.
Yeah, it was a blockbuster trade, man. The city was buzzing the day we heard that. It kind of came out of left field. But it's exciting, man. It was felt a little down for a couple of days. We were losing Johnny and Tkachuk. But the Flames head office, man, they're always being pretty aggressive, and it really makes you support the team. I mean, I'm sure this move is going to end up working out. We got a huge return, and Huberdeau's, one of the top 5 in the entire league. So it's a massive move. I'm sure it's going to work out, but it's more than that. It's just awesome that your team is just not giving up. They're going to try things. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to take chances, and it's fun to be a fan.
Yeah, because they easily could have just said they'll throw in the towel and just trade Tkachuk for like a bunch of young guys and picks and stuff. But them getting Huberdeau was like, I didn't expect it. Because I don't even know if, like, obviously Tkachuk's a lot younger, but like Huberdeau for Tkachuk, I thought would have been pretty fair.
Yeah, the actual deal that he got too is unbelievable. And that's what I mean. Even just getting a player like Huberdeau would be enough. It'd still be a surprisingly positive. But then, we added a bunch of good players and Weaver and a first round. Like, it's just wild. I don't know how they managed to negotiate that so well, but we're not complaining here.
Well, Chad, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.